I'm excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
So you're the founder, sustainability advisor for Impact Hub.
Yes, Impact House it
Impact
is.
House. For those who do not know Impact House, can you please tell us?
Yeah, sure. It's a sustainability advising company where I help startups and VC funds figure out how to launch on sustainability journey and do the thing that actually matters.
And what I like about the work that you're doing is, given your background, I mean, CEO of TechChill, you were setting up accelerator programs for startup wise guys. You're perfectly positioned for this. I'm also excited about your panel that you have.
Same.
So can we give a warm welcome to, again, our moderator, Kristine, and to the panelists as they come on up on stage right now.
So today we are having a chat with three startup founders. Martin Lääts, co-founder and head of product and design at Evocon. Checking if you're still alive, let's make the blood moving in your bodies before you fall asleep. James Berdigans, CEO and founder at Printify, and Joosep from Fractory. So, we are all here, sitting on chairs, wearing clothes, eating food, drinking coffee that is manufactured someplace. If you look at the statistics, in Europe, manufacturing industry is responsible for approximately 1/5 of greenhouse gas emissions. In the US, is 1/4. So quite a bit of impact, and that is only if you look at it directly. The indirect impact would be even bigger. So I believe that if the industry has such a huge impact, it has equally great opportunity to actually do something that we would reach the climate goals. So that's exactly what today's panel is about. I want to understand what these software companies are thinking about sustainability and how they are going to revolutionize manufacturing industry. If. All right, so let's get started, and let's start with introducing audience with what you are doing and why sustainability is relevant to your business. Martin?
Oh, me. Okay. Is it working? Yeah.
Yes.
So we at Evocon, we help manufacturing companies automate and digitize their data collection from their machines, and basically then give that data context so they can make better decisions, and better decisions that result in improvement in productivity as well as reduction in waste. So that is, in a very, very kind of nutshell way, what is we do. Or if I were to simplify, then we just give them transparency to make better decisions.
Mm-hmm. And how does that connect to sustainability?
Well, I mean, it's kind of baked into the product and service, because, as you said, like, the sector is quite has quite a big impact. So naturally, since part of the product or part of the goal of the product is to reduce waste, then that sustainability kind of comes along on the journey with the product and service.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. James?
Hi, I'm founder of Printify, and what we do is we do print on demand. What it means that instead of pre-producing products in bulk, like it is done today, we are producing products only after something is sold. So we support thousands and thousands of e-commerce merchants to produce on-demand production. And I want to do a bit of thought experiment with all of you. I was doing a bit of exercise preparing for this panel, and 1 out of every 3 products that is produced, t-shirt, pants, anything, is thrown out. So
How many?
Buy 1 out of every 3.
Okay.
And so you buy 2, 1 is thrown out. Can you imagine like 1 cubic meter of waste? So it's about this height, this height. Can anyone, like everyone, raise hand up? Just try to imagine 1 cubic ton of waste. Can I get hands up? Everyone who is imagining 1 cubic ton. Please help me out. Everyone, try to imagine 1 cubic ton. All right. Then imagine 1 container load is having 25 tons of waste. Can you imagine 1 container load shipping like really large? 1 ship has 1,000 containers, like really, really big ship. Like if it was parked in Tallinn, it would be as high as the highest building in Tallinn. 1,000 containers. Seems like a lot of waste, right? If you load all those containers full of unused clothes. So that's 1 ship. And now I will ask you a question. How do you think, how many ships full of waste we are producing every year? Any guesses, please? 1, 5?
1,000.
1,000. There's 1 guess. Anyone else?
500,000.
500,000 ships. Oh my God, I don't know if there are that many ships in the world. 10,000. It's somewhere in between 1 and 10. 2,000 ships full of waste we are producing every year, of just clothing weight. And so what we help to eliminate that waste. Our vision is that you do not need to pre-produce anything. Products can be produced only after they are sold. So what we try to help is that we try to eliminate this unsold garments. The reason why you see discounts in the store is because it's impossible to predict how many units you will sell. And so we solve that problem by eliminating pre-production. Every single item that we produce is produced within 24 hours after it is sold and shipped directly to the customer. So our mission and vision in terms of sustainability is to eliminate that 2,000 cargo ships every year that are wasted of unsold garments. And that's what we are aiming for. And thank you so much for your mental imagination challenge.
Thank you, James, for the quick keynote on this panel discussion. Appreciate it, but it was a good exercise in imagining how much waste we as a society actually generate. James, we are very curious.
Joosep.
Joosep, we are very curious what Fractory is doing and how is that connected to sustainability?
Sure. So Fractory is a cloud manufacturing platform connecting engineering companies to manufacturing companies. And our mission is to guide manufacturing to become more sustainable. And sustainability for us is not only about the green topics, it's also about social and economic sustainability. And how we do it is that we continuously try to find ways how to improve efficiency, accessibility and quality in manufacturing in general. And the product, or the what we do, is that we provide this cloud manufacturing platform where companies, mostly engineering companies, can access a wide range of fabrication services. So if you look around here today, you can see metal is everywhere, under your chair, the stairs, on the ceilings, everywhere pretty much. So we help companies who require these kinds of metal parts to outsource them and to procure them. And by doing that, actually, we also sort of help them to make it more efficiently, make it more accessible, and make their lives easier in order to sort of save time, and as well as machinery and all the rest of it as well, which we can sort of discuss later on in detail.
Thanks. Thank you all for giving kind of background information on why you're here. Before we move forward, as this is a panel about sustainability, I think it would be a good idea to clarify what do you actually mean by the term of sustainability. Some companies are approaching it guided by sustainable development goals. Some use ESG as the guiding principle. Some just move along as it's part of their corporate social responsibility. What is it for you? Let's start with you, Joosep.
Yeah, as mentioned, we sort of thought that, okay, why Fractory is what we are? What's the mission of us? And we started to think about it actually not when we created the company, so we weren't sort of mission driven as such. We knew that there's a problem in the market in manufacturing regards outsourcing. And then we started to think of, okay, why we do it. And then we sort of saw that actually our own sort of, let's say, our platform or our sort of internal footprint is actually quite low in terms of, sort of environment. But actually what we can influence a lot is the social and economic side. Obviously, we also are if we talk about environmental sustainability, we reduce the use of material, use of scrap, we produce closer to end user, we reduce the transportation as aggregating orders for in manufacturing. But it's also about the social side, so promoting engineering, promoting manufacturing, making sure that we have the people in manufacturing who are actually the ones who will be sort of thinking the solutions, the products, which we will be using in the future as sort of, because these are the products and solutions which help us to become more sustainable actually. So the smart people of mechanical engineers, civil engineers, be it design engineers, product engineers, actually they are the ones who will be actually thinking of it. So that's the social side of it. And from the economic sustainability side, we understood that actually the part of human time is also a resource. So not wasting engineers' time is actually a huge resource because there's too few engineers in the world anyhow. And if we waste their time on things which actually can be automated or handled by softwares, we should do it, so enabling them to focus more on this value-added projects, more difficult tasks, which their mind is actually sort of set to do, they're taught to do, as well as reducing the use of machines, let's say, machinery, because that's a resource as well. So those machines which actually produce the parts which are then used in products which we consume. And we saw that around 50% of those machines around the world are sitting idle actually. So we'd actually
imagine a huge like metal manufacturing machine.
Yeah, like laser cuts or CNC machining machine, which is actually like 100,000, €500,000 one per machine. And we saw that actually we don't need more machines, we need a better system how to use those machines. But actually it's really difficult for companies sort of to do it. So we are providing this as well. So we see it as a wholesome picture, and I think sustainability for us is, there's more colors to it than only the environmental side, and we are taking it that way as well.
And I think that's very important for software companies to realize that it's not only about like carbon footprint or the environment, that you have to look at the whole picture. James, what do you have to share on this? On how do you define sustainability at Printify?
There are different ways to look at, say, sustainability. One could be at CO2 emissions, water pollution, wasteland creation. In terms of CO2, textile industry is, from a global perspective, not main driver of CO2 production. Where textile production does come quite impactful is wastewater production and wasteland. The wasteland, I already shared the mental exercise of 2,000 cargo ships of waste being produced. So that's a major driver, and we do not produce any waste because every single product that is produced by Printify is produced within 24 hours after somebody has bought it. So there is no waste of unsold inventory. Huge saver of waste. The second area would be water pollution and the on-demand production, which is a digital way of decorating different type of garments, is consuming almost practically no water comparing to other ways of decorating the garment. So for us, the main ways how we look at pollution and what impact we are driving is primarily reducing the waste, the waste of the garments, and secondly, the water pollution of the garments.
Thank you.
My turn.
Yes.
Well, for us at Evocon, I think it largely corresponds to what Joosep was saying, because we sort of do a similar thing, but in a different context. So whereas you're mostly working on the metal industry, right? And we have clients in more than 10 industries in 50 countries. So we're looking at the sustainability definitely from the waste side of things. But you asked for the sustainability definition. I think it's also important too. We're using a lot of the word waste, but so what is waste in terms of what reduction are we aiming for? And there's definitely what we're seeing is, as Joosep was saying, that a lot of the machines are actually idle too long of a time. So that's the thing that our software helps optimize. There's also wasted time doing, unnecessary thing. But you can only imagine that in our digital age, we actually still, when we're working with clients, we see how they have people collecting data on paper and then just inputting that paper into computers and then into Excels and whatnot. So it's really also wasted human potential. So I would say that that's like the social side of the sustainability aspect. But yeah, I mean, there's if you see the picture from all of these sectors, then yeah, I mean the scale of waste is frankly just like flabbergasting. It's just unimaginable. So whenever and that's why one of the aims is to use the software to visualize what sort of waste our clients have, and then also help them with simple tools to reduce that. Mm-hmm. So it's really that like holistic picture that we are looking at.
So thank you all. I think you brought clarity on the fact that there's still no clarity on what should be the one definition of sustainability, but each company has the opportunity to define it as they may see fit for them in this stage. We are halfway through the discussion already, so I just want you to remind that I want to hear your questions, so please add them here in this platform. I know you. I saw that you scanned this, or you can raise a hand, and there will be a person with a mic to see you. But I still have a couple of questions to ask them. So, and then we're gonna get to yours. Okay. Yeah. So about the sustainability journey for you. I want to give you the opportunity to shine and be proud of what you actually have done so far as a company. Martin?
So the accomplishments, so to say.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, the journey is definitely ongoing, and I would say it's at the start. What I can share is more of the success stories of clients, because that really is our accomplishment. Mm-hmm. It's not really, because Joosep also said, like as a small software company, our footprint is not that big. So we'd rather focus on helping our clients. So I'll give you 3 examples that illustrate of what an effect a simple product can have. For example, recently we launched a new product which helps basically with anything related to quality, so improving the quality of the products that are being produced. And one of our clients came to us quite like fast after it and said that if they only had that digital tool or that automated tool 2 weeks earlier, they wouldn't have had to throw away half a ton of food, which is just, I think it just illustrates. Chase was already illustrating how much waste there is. I think we just cannot really imagine it. But those are like there are simple fixes that we can do. We're just utilizing just simple digital tools that help the people on the shop floor just do things in a better way. Another example related to that product is a Colombian textile producer, which you might relate to then, as what they're doing, or what they were doing before was doing quality checks on their product after every 150 meters of textile. So whenever they found an issue, they had to scrap away 150 meters of textile, which is a lot. So what they're doing now is, since they have the data, real-time data from their machines, they're doing checks every 50 meter, which is the threshold that is convenient for them now. And so whenever they are noticing that something is wrong, they don't have to throw away 150 meters of textile. Well, they have to scrap 50 meters. But I think it just illustrates of the small things that every producer can do, just to like make a step, do it better, then make the next step and do it better. And that's how I think we can achieve a better, a sustainable future. I guess another example would be about productivity, which is related to the machine use and so forth. Quite a few of our clients, when they've seen what is actually going on on their production floor and how their machine is being used, and a few of them have actually switched from 3 shifts to 2 shifts. So doing their output, but in 2/3 of the time. That means the facilities don't have to run 8 hours a day, and that's energy saved, that's just like time saved, and savings in different areas. So those are, I think, a few of the more, illustrative examples of what we're doing. Recently, we've seen more interest in looking at electricity use in correlation with production output. So we are working also with a Danish furniture company who is really taking their energy use very seriously. So that is where they're using now data that we provide with the data coming from the machines, electricity, and then trying to optimize that. So I think from our case, it's more about different small things happening around the world. Like I said, we have clients in 55 countries, and what we aim to do is just make every small step count. I think small steps are what actually then come together to something meaningful.
Exactly. Thanks, Martin. James?
Number one thing that we do is that we help to reduce the waste coming from unsold fashion industry products. So that's number one. Number two is wastewater. I had an opportunity to visit one of our garment manufacturers in Honduras a couple of months ago, and I'm very impressed about how little water they are consuming. Literally, they recycle all the water so that you can eventually even drink the water that was used in the garment production, and they use that same water again and again. And I feel glad that we are working with partners that are doing a really good job on making sure that there is not much waste created, or as little as possible. And so I would say these are the two main drivers how we help to be more friendly to our environment and nature.
Thanks, James.
For us, there's different examples. Now, for instance, one quick one that comes to my mind is we have a client called Forstmann. They're creating forestry equipment, or building and producing. And just recently they told us that actually they decided not to buy a new machine, a €500,000 machine, laser cutting machine, because of the capacity what they get from us. So the same thing, that sort of spreading out the idle machinery time in the market. And they said that they didn't need to actually buy one. Their own business is growing, but they sort of saw that actually there's no need for themselves to buy a new machine. They rather use us and sort of scale as that. So I think that's sort of like a good example, which sort of made me feel good that, okay, that's making sense. But yeah, like steel industry in general, I think is like, just the other week I was in London at the national conference for manufacturing, and talking to the steel guys there, and there was this Cambridge research done recently about the uses of steel in the UK, and for instance, numbers are quite remarkable, I would say. Like if we would reuse all the steel, because steel is a material which you can actually use pretty much again and again, the quality won't drop. So if we would reuse all the scrap metal in the UK, we would save 6 million tons of CO2 a year. And another sort of example from this Cambridge research was that around 17% of steel used in the UK actually will not make into products, so it's scrap. And if we reduce the scrap by 5%, that would mean yearly savings in CO2 around 700 tons in the UK alone. So I think manufacturing in general and our metal industry shows that sort of, as we are sort of big contributors into the CO2 as well, there's like huge gains to get from these small steps as well. Even if you take some sort of really sort of simple steps, like you said, regards to textile, for instance, you can already save a lot. But it's also understandable that manufacturing is sort of the late adopter of enough about things. So I think it needs time, although we have high goals, but we already know that we need a lot to sort of do and to educate the market in order to get there anyhow, because I would say currently we have behind schedule anyhow.
I think this ties into very well into one of the questions from the audience from Sigrid. About your opinion, when you look at your customers, your suppliers, how do you think, how aware they are of how much waste they produce, and how do they think about sustainability? Is it a business opportunity, something that just has to be done because of the new regulations, or there's something else? Mr. Evocon, I see that you're ready to share.
Mr. Evocon. Funnily enough, we have Mr. Evocon in our product, but I'm not that. I guess I'm part of it, but well, yeah, I think it's a difficult subject because we work a lot with the people who are doing the work on the shop floor, right? And they don't have definitely a very good understanding of ESG or whatnot, and that's not the reality of their everyday. Because and I mean, so what was the question? So how did they?
How manufacturers think about sustainability, about waste?
I think, it really depends. The Danish example that I brought, it's clearly that in their society, for them, it is an issue that they want to deal with. In other countries, it's definitely not a thing because they are working on making life happen just every day. That's the reality. But I think I'm hopeful that it will change. And the sustainability experts that are hired, they also go to the factory floors and actually talk to the people and help understand the thing. And of course, I think there is something there that we can do. And we are thinking how our product can be the communicator of the subject. But I would say, from our experience, it's starting to, take off, but it's slow, as everything in manufacturing.
Do you have anything to add?
I mean, it's a difficult subject. We all know that there's a start, and I think we have to encourage. I see that actually the pressure pretty much comes from, I think, 3 different places, or it can come from government, from pretty much top down, right? We see this as well, for instance, in construction. In the UK, Skanska, for instance, a big sort of tier 1 contractor, they have requirements for zero or low carbon metal, reused metal, stuff like that. So they have to design buildings so that they can reuse the material later on as well, so that it can be deassembled as well later on. So things like that. There's also from consumers, right? And I think this is where many companies see it happening as well. We have customers, although their demand is not that big, but they still demand reused steel to be used in their sort of products. This is happening, but it's a really small minority right now, I would say. And also, it can also come from companies inside, just defining your mission, because many companies know how to say what they do, but they often don't know how to say why they do it. So why do you do, and why pretty much every time equals the mission. And if they try to define the mission together, then I think this also will lead to sustainability and ideas. But it's difficult to say because, manufacturing, often the sustainable sort of growth or the advantages in sustainability, or sort of the growth in sustainability, comes with the price of revenue or margins. And this is such a difficult subject, I think, for many manufacturing to sort of do that, because this is what I hear from them as well.
James, what are your thoughts on this?
I think manufacturers focus on as any business, they focus on the customers, and so it's really about what do customers care about. I would say 98% of the customers either don't care about sustainability, don't think about sustainability, or most importantly, are not willing to pay the premium for sustainability. So congratulations to all of you. You are among the likely 1% who care about sustainability because you're investing your time listening to us. Thank you so much.
I'm curious, where did you get the 98%?
And it's growing, certainly, that the people who care about it. Everyone likes to be sustainable, but the reality is that almost everyone doesn't want to pay the premium for being sustainable. So the challenge is on the manufacturers. How do you find ways to be equally cost effective, but be more environmentally friendly? Because nobody wants to pay for it, but everyone would like to be more environmentally friendly. So the challenge is on us. We're trying to find ways how to be more friendly to the environment in terms of less, for example, polybag usage, less waste produced in international shipping and things like that. So the challenge is really on us, on the manufacturers, because the consumers, they want to be more friendly, but reality is that the 99% are not ready to pay for being more environmentally friendly.
I hope that the number is bigger, actually.
Sorry?
I hope that the percentage is bigger that are willing to pay for sustainable products. And
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I've seen some data on
I think the young
2021
generation is really
that
willing to
more and
very
more
different.
customers are ready to pay the premium. Of course, in developed countries like UK, Germany, France, it is more common, and the numbers are already reaching towards like 70%. That 70% of the population is ready to pay a bit extra to choose the better product. But if you think about the average person in the Baltics, the average Janis, then oh my god, I just realized that I said this, average Peteris, then yeah, it's probably not going to be ready to pay extra.
But good thing is to keep in mind what is the percentage of human population that is developed countries. Let's take America, Europe. America is 300 million people. Europe is 300 million people, Australia, Canada, and a few more places in the world. So we are talking at most like billion people, at most. So that's at most 10% of the population. The rest do not just have the buying power to pay the premium.
Exactly, and those are also the part of the population that are buying the most
True.
products. I see we have just 3 minutes left. I want to give you an opportunity to share any advice for startup founders listening to this, VC funds who are thinking about sustainability. Any advice from your journey, suggestions, ideas?
I can just rely on our own example, just thinking of the why you are building your company. And I think that will also sort of solve the problem of thinking of the sustainability, because I think you will figure it out. But then, and it's more important to think of actually like the mission, and because this will also bring together your own team, and one common mission will help sort of move everything forward. So I think thinking of the question why.
Thanks. James?
Adding to what you were saying, as you build your company, just do things that make you feel good about what you're doing. And I think if you are harming the environment you're living in, if you think about it, it's hard to feel good. It's hard to feel good about it. So I think it's really important. It's a challenge because not necessarily the damage you do today that you feel it yourself, but our kids will certainly feel that damage. So think about others, think about next generations, and build a business that makes you feel good about what you're doing.
Thanks. Martin?
Yeah, interesting. Well, I would say that if that is on the agenda, or that is the challenge you want to solve, or the impact that you want to have with your product or with your service, then I think it's really important to not to forget that you have to make people understand, and how you communicate your message is equally as important, because we have to make it understandable and simple for users, or for clients or people to take action. And I think, especially on the software side, just focus on making your software easy to use. That can even be the one important criteria, because you can have a really good message and idea, but if people aren't using your product, then there's no use. Just make it count.
Very good points made today. I would also like to wrap up with reminding you that in more and more cases, it has been proved also, as the panelist, the keynote speaker before us was sharing, that good business is good for the business. So companies that are doing good on their ESG performance are outperforming other companies over short and long term. And I really suggest you to look at the business opportunity in this transition, and then it will be an easy sell to your boss, to your other co-founders, and anyone else involved. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to the panelists for making this happen.